so humble. I saw him in the line at Chipotle. Same height. So I said, sweatpants. I can't ever find anything that was good. He said, Denver Nugget. His employer gave it to him. He worked.
Both of my boys are tall.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't find it.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, everyone. It is now 7 o'clock p.m. on Tuesday, April 25th, 2023. I'd like to welcome you all to Richland County zoning public hearings. This meeting will now come to order. Madam Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Brenham.
Here.
Pugh.
Here.
McBride. Livingston.
Here.
Teratio.
Here.
Weaver.
Here.
Barron.
Here.
Walker.
Here.
Mackey.
Here.
English.
Present.
Newton.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Next item on the agenda is item 3. Any additions or deletions to the agenda? Mr. Price?
No, sir.
All right. Next item on the agenda is item 4, adoption of the agenda. Entertain a motion.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved to properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Yes.
Pugh.
Yes.
McBride.
Yes.
Livingston.
Yes.
Teratio.
Yes.
Weaver.
Yes.
Barron.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
English.
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Next item on the agenda is item 5, open public hearings. Item 5A1 is case number 22-019MA. The applicant's name is Bill Theus. This is a request to change the zoning designation from planned unit development to planned unit development, 55.2 acres, location Wilson Boulevard, TMS number R14900-04-01, R14800-02-22, R14800-02-32, R14800-02-27, R14800-02-35, and R14800-02-29. The Planning Commission recommends approval unanimously, and staff recommends approval. That public hearing is now open. Madam Vice Chair, anyone sign up to speak?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we have one individual, the applicant, that has signed up to speak this evening. Mr., was it Bill Theus?
Yes.
If we would come forward, please, Mr. Theus. State your first and last name, and you have 2 minutes to speak.
Bill Theus, and I won't take 2 minutes. This is property at the intersection of US 21 and I-77, just a mile to a mile and a half below where Scout has just announced its plant, which we're all excited about. I was thinking on the way down here, some of this land, first piece of this we purchased when my third daughter wasn't born yet. Now she's 33 and has 2 children, so timing's everything. But in any event, we have 55 acres roughly left, and it's our contention that we're not going to absorb it with commercial uses, as with the e-commerce and such, just big shopping centers are not coming. So we would like to be able to put up to 300 units on a portion, apartment units on the portion of this property that had previously not had that as a use. We did not use 230 of our residential units that were approved on the multifamily piece and the single family piece. So again, we have 230 fewer units than were previously approved, and we would like to add 70 to that to have 300 units. As an aside, we did a quick study, and they're only like, this is an approximation, 15 to 20 vacant apartment units within 5 miles of the Scout site. So we're going to need housing out there, both single family for sale as well as rental housing. Available for any questions.
Thank you, sir. You had 15 seconds to spare. Mr. Chair, that concludes all the individuals that signed up to speak this evening.
Okay, that public hearing is now closed. At this time, I entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair,
You recognize, Ms. Barron.
thank you. As it's my practice in District 7, that we do have town hall meetings and allow the applicants to have an audience with the constituents of the district. Mr. Theus and his team did attend a virtual town hall, and this item was deferred previously because there were some concerns from staff. Those concerns have been fleshed out and aired out, and because of that, I am moving to approve this item.
Second?
Second.
Properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Brenham,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Next item on the agenda is 5A2, case number 22-037, MA. Name of the applicant is Kevin Steelman. This is a request to change the zoning designation from rural to residential single-family estate district. The location is 1000 Kelly Mill, TMS number R23300-02-02. The Planning Commission recommends approval, 7-1, and staff recommends disapproval. That public hearing is now open. Madam Vice Chair, anyone sign up to speak?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we had 3 individuals sign up to speak this evening. One the applicant, one for the project, and one against the project. First is Mr. Kevin Stillman. If you would come forward and state your first and last name, as well as your address, and you'll have 2 minutes to speak.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I am Kevin Steelman. My address is 120 Harborside Circle. I live in Lake Carolina, where I've lived since 2003, and I've lived in the Blythewood area since 1999. I'm the president of Landtech. We're a local residential development firm in Columbia, develop communities throughout the Midlands. We contracted to purchase this property to develop a residential community in the area. County staff did recommend denial of our request because the comprehensive plan for this area calls for a higher density than we had requested. And we agree with staff that the area certainly could support a higher density based on the existing infrastructure and the substantial improvements that the county's making to Hardscrabble Road. However, we felt like the zoning request we made was sufficient to support our development plans and would allow us to develop the property in a manner that would transition from the higher density uses across the street and adjacent to the lower density, more rural land to the north and to the east of the property. So that guided our application. With the announcement of Scout Motors locating in the Blythewood area with 4,400 jobs coming, there's certainly going to be a need for housing, and we think that this site could be leveraged to play an integral part in providing some of that housing. Should you approve our request, we would not be in a position to start development on the site until sometime early 2024. Vertical home building probably wouldn't be able to commence till fourth quarter 2024, with the first homeowner moving in spring of 2025, just with the time periods that it takes to get through the permitting process, et cetera. So that timeline matches up pretty well with the county's completion of Hardscrabble Road, and we think it'll give the county time to finish that project and dramatically improve commute times and traffic in that area. Water and sewer providers have also...
Mr. Stillman, that is your time. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Next is 4, Don Sanders. If you would, state your first and last name as well as your address, and you'll have 2 minutes.
Don Sanders. I live at 107 Reunion Lane in Arcadia Lakes, and I'm representing as a broker for the sale of Mr. Kennedy's 90-acre tract. Last night I attended the Blythewood Town Council meeting, And at that meeting, at the conclusion, they voted for first reading approval of the additional 290 acres that they need to make this park work for Scout. It was a very interesting meeting. If you get a chance, look on YouTube and you'll see it. Since I couldn't stay late, I watched the whole thing again. And everything unfolded to me what Scout's trying to do. And this is the greatest thing since I've lived in Columbia since 1982. 1982 that's happened to Richland County. One of the gentlemen on the board said what this means financially to Blythewood and surrounding areas is $330 million a year coming in to be spent in the Blythewood area, not to include purchase of homes. So the Scout, we all know this will, Scout plant will happen, but we don't know when exactly. So I'll tell you this, I lived in Blythewood for 20 years myself. I served on the Planning Commission for 3 years. So I know what the Planning Commission, what y'all are going through. I got phone calls and I got rancor about traffic and growth. And my friends, traffic and growth goes hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. You just got to maintain it. That's why we came to this council requesting RSE versus a higher density to cut down the traffic. There's going to be growth when Scout comes. There's going to be growth anyway. I won't go through the same points that Kevin made a minute ago on what the staff recommended, a higher density, and the Planning Commission recommended approval on RSE. Most people want to live near where they work. I do. Our request for housing density would satisfy about 4% of the total needs of Scout, which is 4,800 jobs. I respectfully request y'all give Mr. and Mrs. Kennedy the opportunity to sell their parcel and move on with their life. We've been coming to this to y'all for through no fault of anybody for 6 months. So we appreciate
Thank you, sir.
moving forward with this. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Our next individual is signed up for against, and it is Stephen Doan. Okay. Would state your first and last name, address, and you have 2 minutes. Thank you.
Stephen Doan, 5 Pin Oak Court, Columbia, South Carolina, Lake Carolina. I came in against strictly based off of the infrastructure, understanding their glide path to the first quarter 2025. It's not sustainable for that increased amount of units in that area. The hardscrabble improvement is happening. The 4-way stop at Kelly Mill is happening. However, that is going to bottleneck and crush that area for everyone else's morning commutes. The Scout plant is coming into Blythewood. That is undeniable. However, that intersection, unless it is vastly improved, Kelly Mill and Rimmer Pond Road will make everyone's morning commute 30 to 40 minutes longer, and it's not sustainable in front of that YMCA area. So strictly based off of infrastructure, I'm voting no against that motion. I dealt with this in Clarksville, Tennessee, off of Exit 1 when they did the exact same thing, and demolished a cornfield and put in a fire station and added units that massively bottlenecked that area, and every person in that housing district had to add 30 to 40 minutes to their commute with those intersections and the lights. Barring any additional thought processes or context to the plan, which I have not been privy to, that's where I stand with against, respectively. I cede the rest of my time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, that concludes all individuals that have signed up this evening.
All right, that public hearing is now closed. At this time, I entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Pugh, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair and County Council, I have had the opportunity to meet with Mr. Stillman and the landowner. And it has to be understood and be clear that the decision tonight is not contingent upon whether or not the landowner can sell his land. Currently, right now, they can build 120 homes. The developer is asking to build 220 homes, which doubles that. And maybe about 1.5 years ago, not even 3 miles away from this same piece of property, we denied zoning for specific reasons, and none of those factors have changed in that area. So with that being said, it would be hypocritical for me to sit here and approve for this zoning to happen when I just denied it not even a year ago for another parcel of land not even 3 miles away. So I am moving to deny this request.
Second?
Second.
Properly second. Any discussion?
I have a quick question.
You recognize Mr. Livingston?
Mr. Price, in the conclusion part on page 17, it says that the request would be consistent with density and lot area of estimated and proposed developments in the area, reference, Baymount and Quicken Tree. So is that accurate? Based on what's been presented to us, it would be consistent with Baymount and Quicken Tree in terms of lot size or whatever?
Yes, sir. Excuse me. Baymont was a development that was developed under the rule standards, and it applied the open space standards of our land development code to allow the reduction of units, but the density still remained about 1.32, which is close to the 2.2 that the RSE zoning designation is requesting, and the Cricken Tree subdivision, even though it's on RSLD, a number of the lots of the size that are similar to the RSE request.
You recognize Councilman Weaver?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to be clear. So a yes vote is for the no motion and a no vote is against the no motion. Am I
That's correct.
saying that
Yes.
correct? Okay.
Yes. All right. Any additional questions? Ms. English?
Maybe the DNS committee can help me. Would our traffic calming assist with this? I'm just curious.
Wow. I don't have enough information to be able to say. I would want to direct that question to staff. I apologize. I'm insufficient for that question.
Ms. English, is your question about traffic calming? If a traffic calming study has been done, or if there are traffic calming measures? What's your question? A traffic count?
It's currently,
Microphone.
it will come before the council, probably at our next meeting, and that's something that we've been talking about in DNS.
Okay.
That was just a
I do have a
Ms.
question.
Newton?
Sorry. Mr. Price, just for my information, this request is for RU to RSE, and is RSE less dense or more dense than RU?
Recognize Mr.
Thank you. The RSE is less dense than the RU.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions? All right. None? Clerk, take the vote.
Brenham,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
No?
Teratio,
Yes.
Weaver,
No.
Barron,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved to deny. Passes.
Next item on the agenda is item A3, 5A3, case number 23-007MA. Name of the applicant is Corey Swindler. This is a request to change the zoning designation from light industrial to residential multifamily medium density. Location Farrell Road, TMS number R17600-01-12. Planning Commission recommends approval unanimously, and staff recommends approval. That public hearing is now open. Madam Vice Chair, anyone sign up to speak?
No, Mr. Chair, no individual signed up to speak this evening.
Okay, that public hearing is now closed. At this time, I entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair,
You recognize Mr. Pugh?
I had a conversation with the developer, and he asked that we defer this item.
Motion for deferral.
Second.
It's been moved to properly second. That's non-debatable. Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Brenham,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Next item on the agenda, item 6, someone make a motion.
adjourn.
Wait.
Mr. Chair,
Oh, Mr. Price, we were doing so well. Yes,
it
Mr.
is
Price.
very quick. On the last item, for case 23-007 MA, the deferral, would that also come with a new zoning another public hearing?
Question again, Mr. Price.
Will you have a public hearing for the deferral?
Assuming we will, Mr. Price.
Okay. The reason why you opened up the public hearing and you closed it.
Right, okay, well, yes, there will be a new public hearing. Yes, there will be. Okay, anything else? Okay.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Yeah, all right, Madam Clerk, please take the vote. Mr. Wright.
And I guess there was a question, is the number 3 defer until when?
Mr. Pugh, you want that deferred until
So our next public zoning hearing.
our next zoning public hearing? All right, Madam Clerk, finish the vote count, or at least start the vote count, please.
Non-debatable, non-deferrable.
Do
Thank
I
you,
have a
Mr.
second?
Already
Yes.
been seconded,
Okay.
twice over.
Brenham,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston, Teratio,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
We are adjourned.